Ranger Pomy ran as fast as her legs could carry her. She just managed to unlock every cage in this seemingly infinite multiversal prison, which both freed her fellow captors as well as many of her monsters from every corner of the multiverse. When she finally made her way to the cell block, which held the rest of the amazing digital Power Rangers, she found that they had already had their hands full. Using her twin daggers, and using skills she wasn't even aware she had, Pomy sliced her way through hordes of monsters until she made it to the ranger that she had talked to earlier that day. Wielding a needle-like sword, Ranger Ragatha was fighting against a horribly burned woman, wearing a striped dress and a fedora, and scratching at her with a blade-covered glove. The wind lifted her arm in the air, and Ranger Ragatha began to float upwards before being tossed around like a rag doll.
You should have stayed in your room. Now you're grounded.
Ragatha hit the ground hard, nearly shattering her spine. The woman was about to finish her off when Pomy ran up and stabbed her in the back. "Knife to have known you," Pomy quipped as the woman screamed and disappeared in a burst of white light. "Thank you for that," Ranger Ragatha said. "She'll be back soon, though. She never stays dead for long." Suddenly, the man in the purple and pink ranger suit came flying through the air, launched by the purple monster he'd been fighting, and landed next to them. "Oh, hey, kid, you did it. Never doubted you for a second. Except, of course, I did. Now, let's get back to old dentures and get out of here." Pomy shook her head. "No, we can't. Ranger Kaufmo's gone, but Ranger Zubal's still alive. We can't leave without her." "Yes, I assure you, we can." Jax tried to argue, but received glaring looks from the other two rangers. Fine, we'll go save her." After deciding on a plan, the Rangers went back into the fray of battle to collect the two remaining members that Pomy hadn't yet met. First was a female ranger, wearing a red suit with several white accents. She also appeared to be surrounded by swirling pink ribbons, and had one shield on each arm, one with a laughing face and another with a crying one. She was currently in the midst of fighting what looked to be a black alien with red and green armor. The alien shot lasers out of a shoulder-mounted cannon, but fortunately, not only was the Red Ranger flexible enough to easily dodge all the blasts, she could also stretch and extend her body into ribbons. She was able to last for a good long while, until a laser was finally able to break through one of her shields. She was about to take a second hit, when the other three Rangers swooped in to finish the fight. Together, they were quickly able to incapacitate the alien. Then Ranger Ragatha introduced the new, now crying, Red Ranger. "Ranger Pomy, this is Ranger Gangle." Pomy reached out her hand, but Gangle was too distracted to shake it. "He broke my shield." "Relax, Ribbons," Jack said. "Old Molar Head can probably fix it, but we gotta get there, so first let's do the whole saving Zubal thing." However, Ranger Ragatha stopped him. "Jax, you're forgetting about Ranger Kinger." She pointed to a ranger in a purple suit, wielding a spear, who was currently fighting off what looked to be a blue insect-like alien with a bladed tail. "Oh, come on. Do we have to? He's a bit crazy." "Yes, we have to." The group then ran over to the active battle, and, though the blue creature was tough, they were able to eventually recontain it. Then, as she had done with Gangle, Ragatha introduced Pomy to Ranger Kinger, who, in response, simply started talking about an insect collection. With almost the full team assembled, Pomy led the group to one of the maps and teleported them to the lab, where Zubal was still continuing her battle with the abstract monster. "Oh, great. You finally showed up," Zubal said as she swung her axe at the monster. "Not by choice, mind you," Jack said. The Rangers then converged on the monster. Ranger Pomy punched it in its face, but then began to scream, as the hand she had used to punch the creature began to violently glitch and abstract. Ragatha as well began to suffer these effects, but throughout her entire body. "Nobody touch that thing!" Suddenly, the voice of the Rangemaster seemed to come from nowhere. Ranger Pomy and Ranger Ragatha turned to see the tooth-covered face of the Rangemaster on the lab's monitors. "After Pomy here took down this other guy's security, I was able to hack into the system. I now have complete control of the entire lab," Rangemaster explained in an unnaturally sinister tone. "That's great, but can you take care of this thing?" Pomy said, using her unaltered hand to gesture at the monster. "Oh, yeah." Suddenly, a floorboard slid out from under the monster, trapping it in some dark cellar beneath the lab. Can you also... Ranger Agatha said, her whole body so violently contorting. Oh yes, of course. They all heard something that sounded like a finger snap, and suddenly Ragatha was back to normal. Now that that's all over, all you have to do is come back to my cell, and I can teleport us all out of here. Then we can go on all kinds of crazy adventures throughout the multiverse. Ranger Zubul quickly protested. No, we just all want to go home. Don't worry, Ranger Zubul, I didn't care about your opinion anyway. However, before Zubul could protest further, some strange, childlike shaped monsters burst into the lab. Oh no! Groinks! The shaped monsters began to attack them. Pomy tried to throw a knife at one, but it merely stuck to its side and began to roll away. What are gloinks? She asked. Gloinks are sticky, shape-like monsters that steal everything they can by sticking it to their bodies, Rangemaster all too joyously explained. One of the gloinks crashed directly into Zubul, who immediately fell apart into her separate pieces. The gloinks then stole her body parts and ran away. Oh no, they killed Ranger Zubul. Anyway, want to get something to eat? The food here is surprisingly good. Jax! Fine, we'll go save Ranger Zubul. Again. Okay, so it appears that those gloinks have taken her somewhere on the second floor, most likely to their queen. Luckily, I have installed tracking devices on all of your suits, so I can teleport you all to her exact location. Great, and once we get there, you can teleport us back, right? Rangemaster's face simply stared, unblinking for a few minutes, then disappeared. I guess that's a no, Ranger Jack said, right before they all disappeared in a flash of red light. They then all reappeared in a dark cave-like cell on the second floor. Ranger Kinger began to violently shake with fear, and Ranger Gangle began to cry. Ranger Pomy, however, simply looked at her stove glitching hand, and lost in thought. However, their thoughts were all interrupted, and suddenly they heard a sinister laugh coming from nearby. A few steps further, and they saw a woman wearing a red dress and a strange hat, both covered in eyes. She was sitting on a throne, which appeared to be made of various scraps and discarded bits that her minions found. Circled around her were gloinks of various sizes, shapes, and colors, all of which had snarling teeth and mismatched eyes. In the center of the circle, presented before the queen's throne, was a pile of trash, as well as the various body parts of Zubul. They chanted. Pomy and Gangle attempted to sneak into said circle, but, as expected, were quickly caught. Who dares to trespass the domain of the repulsor the Glunk Queen? She asked in a sinister, warbling tone. Oh, is that who you are? Ranger Jax began to mock. You know, you really should have asked my consent before showing me something that ugly. This caused the queen to fly into a rage. She immediately leaped off her throne and slammed her staff into Ranger Jax, knocking him a fair distance. The rest of the Rangers began to fight, but found they were no match for the Gloink Queen. That was until Ranger Pomy had an idea, and quickly ran away. Where's she going? Ranger Agatha asked. She's running away, Jax complained. Meanwhile, Ranger Pomy managed to make it to Rangemaster's cell. Hey there, Ranger Pomy. I'm noticing a distinct lack of other Rangers. Rangemaster, can you teleport anything in the lab to the Gloink Queen's lair? Yes, I suppose Oh, I like the way you think, kid. Meanwhile, back in the lair, the amazing digital Rangers were losing badly. Ranger Agatha was completely unconscious, Ranger Gangle was crying, and Ranger Jax was simply laughing at her. Ranger Kinger, though he had managed to collect the head of Ranger Zubul, was now surrounded by gloinks, and was nearing death. Suddenly, the sound of a finger snap was heard, and the abstracted Ranger Coffmore monster began to fall from the sky, landing directly on top of the Gloink Queen. Now seeing this genuine threat, the rest of the gloinks quickly converged upon the abstracted monster, giving the Rangers time to escape. Ranger Kinger quickly grabbed the remainder of Ranger Zubul's body parts, and the group managed to run upstairs, where they made it to Rangemaster's cell, where Pomy sat waiting. At first they were angry that she had abandoned them, but Rangemaster quickly explained what Pomy had done. Now that that's all over, I can teleport us all out of here, and we can go on many fantastical, amazing digital adventures all throughout this multiverse. Or at least whenever new episodes of the show that N.E.R.D is exploiting here releases, which I have no canonical knowledge of. Ranger Pomy wasn't quite sure what Rangemaster was rambling about, but somehow she felt as if she was simply going from one prison to another.